This is a fun day for me, folks. Mental Health Awareness Month, right? We're in Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is one of those subjects that no matter how many times I do this show, as soon as it's over, I'm going to get an email from someone that says, I can't believe you did this and I didn't know it was going to happen. This is a subject that deeply affects a huge, huge chunk of our population. And it's sad. It's because it cripples people. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm not playing that up. This is something that honestly cripples people. And it's a bummer, especially as I started to get older and I had a daughter. These things started to really become an issue for me. And I started to look at some stuff. And I've talked about this many times on the lifeboat, but at a very early age, we do some really silly things that we probably don't put a lot of thought into, but we probably really should have. The people at Mattel did not do a whole lot of good for the ladies of the world when they created Barbie. Barbie is not a particularly realistic representation of a woman. In fact, her inseam would be taller than I am. Huh? I would be able to walk under Barbie's legs. Her chest, right, would be about 6 inches bigger around than mine, right, which would put her at a really busty woman who, by the way, also had no waist, right? This is something that we do, and we don't think about it. It's we're not bad people. We just don't know better. But we hand these dolls to kids, and then little girls begin, right, from the very first time they come online and can recognize the things that they look at with their eyes. Every single day for the rest of their life, they're going to be bombarded, right, with hundreds and hundreds of images a day of women who are airbrushed, women who literally are created by a computer. They're not real. And what we do is we make them thinner than they should be. We make them unbelievably busty. We make them an ideal that no one is actually born as, right? There's nobody who is born with the kind of bodies that that people are trying to achieve. It's kind of frightening, right? It really is. It's kind of frightening. But every single day they see these images over and over and over and over and over. So by the time they start getting around puberty, is it any wonder they look in the mirror and go, I don't look like that. That's not me. That's not me. And it starts a lifelong obsession with weight and a lifelong obsession with body image. And this is disproportionately a female problem, wildly disproportionately a female problem. Why? Well, because we don't bombard boys with hundreds and hundreds of images a day of the ideal man. We just don't. But boy, oh boy, we do it with women. And it's on every bus. It's on just wherever you look, billboards, right? This leads to some really scary things happening. Hello, Miss Dragon. This leads to some really frightening things happening. And we're going to go over some of them here. But I'd like to say hi to some people. Flamin' Jackson, what's happening? Sandy Wendy, good to see you. Relatable Reese says, I love this topic. Let's talk about it together sometime. I will absolutely do that. I would love to. Hill hath no fury. What's happening? Good to see you. Jody Kelly, glad you're here. Shannon Smith, what's happening? As a girl, all people did when I was a child was tell me how beautiful I was. That's a great thing. It really is. You know, that's a good thing. In theory, this is kind of what should happen, right? Your family should kind of lift you up. Right? One of the first people that you should ever really kind of feel that love with, more often than not, is the father to the daughter. Right? That's the first man that a girl is going to see, and hopefully, he's not going to be Reese's dad, or hopefully he's not going to be somebody that literally takes a problem that's going to happen without much assistance and make it way, way worse. Right? Way worse. The things that happen. Carantha, good to see you. Hey, Flamin' Jackson, I love you, brother. Glad you're here. Bayou Babe, good to see you. Goosebumps 801, I'm happy you're here. This starts to really put a hurt on one of our most valuable resources. Doc, good to see you. Janet G, how are you? Body Illusion. DJ Daddy-O, what's up, Mr. T? Carol, glad you're here. Moni69, how are ya? Glad you're here. Um, yep, makes a good point too, right? The generations growing up with Disney, we have Disney syndrome. Look at Sleeping Beauty and Snow White. We were growing up believing we were princesses, but that's make believe. Well, yeah, but you know something? It's the other option becomes really horrific. Unfortunately, we put out these ideals that don't really exist, and people try to conform to them. The first thing that the scariest, in my opinion, um, sort of fruit that this tree bears is eating disorders. And we've had people on the lifeboat multiple times who have suffered with lifelong struggle with eating disorders. Kathy, good to see you. Glad that you're here. According to the National Eating Disorders Association, 30 million people in the US are estimated to have an eating disorder, with anorexia nervosa being the one that takes the most lives of any mental illness, right? That kills more people than people who unalive themselves. It's a very frightening thing. Um, it's unfortunately very realistic, and it happens to a lot of excellent, good people. The question becomes, what can be done about it? And this Mental Health Awareness Month, this is something that I really want people to think about and to talk about. Jamie Lee Curtis did a spread years ago, and I know that people are going to pop up and say, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Jamie Lee Curtis came out in a magazine and said, I'm not letting them airbrush me ever again. I'm not letting them ever put out an image of me again that's not real. If you ever have seen Ellen DeGeneres without makeup, right? I'm not picking on the woman. I'm not trying to hurt her body image. But if we're being honest, they put a mask on that woman before she goes out on stage that makes her look 20 years younger than she is. Why? How about if we just let the world sort of gracefully get old? Huh? Can't chat, but listening. Thank you, Tommy, and love crew. Zen Wen, thank you. Appreciate you always supporting the boat. I really do appreciate you. Unfortunately, yeah, we do focus. Why do we focus so much on looks? Says Shannon Smith. Why? Well, I'll tell you. Here's what it is. First of all, by our birth, this is something that we do. But back in the day, what we were looking for was somebody that was going to make a solid mother, right? Who gave us the best chance of the offspring surviving. So we probably didn't go for the narrowest hips. We didn't go for the thinnest. That just was not something that would have been advantageous. So what that means is we had to program boys and men to find something attractive other than what nature tells them. And that is just what we have done. That is just what we have done. So many images and so many people from the very first time we come online as boys, people tell us what pretty is. Here you go. This is pretty, right? Pretty is this tall, boobs this big, butt this size, right? Chili Phil, good to see you. I've been well. Thank you for asking. My panic attacks calmed down some, and then my eating disorder exploded. Well, I'm really sorry to hear that, because eating disorders are terrifying. Body dissatisfaction, right? Research from the Dove Global Beauty and Confidence Report found that 6 in 10 girls stop doing the thing they love most because of body image problems. So, for instance, girls who are good at gymnastics find themselves looking at their body and saying, I don't look right in this leotard, I quit. Girls who are swimmers say, I don't look right in this bathing suit, and quit. Keep going. Pick any activity. But this is a statistic that ought to make everybody sick. It really should. This should make every single person listening to this sick. 60% of girls bail on their favorite things, right? Because they don't think they look right doing it. That's a pretty damn scary statistic. It really is. As a 60-year-old woman, I am just realizing how I subconsciously hooked onto those silly ideals. What could I have done in my life had I not bought into the ideal? My worth was connected to my beauty. Hashtag never enough. You know, the never enough thing is it's sad, right? That's the cat kicking the hell out of my table. It's sad, but it's true, because where does it stop? We look at these people who go down the plastic surgery rabbit hole, and I'm not picking on anybody that does that, but I don't think it's something that is natural in our life. I think a lot of this comes from media influence, right? A study published in the International Journal of Eating Disorders revealed that exposure to media portraying the thin ideal contributes to body dissatisfaction, particularly among adolescent girls. I mean, what am I saying? Every single thing you see every single day, and it used to be billboards and it used to be print ads. This is what happened to my generation. Now we can tailor that ad directly to you. We can find where you're at in your head and just make sure that every video you see also reinforces that. It's a frightening concept, people. A lot of us messed up really bad by print ads, billboards, right? MTV. What made you feel, messed up about your body? Now we've got social media platforms, right? Now we've got the ability to make sure that you can't get away from it. Nowhere to hide. For us, you could go outside and play and maybe forget about stuff like that as a kid, but not anymore, man. Right? How many images a day do you think are pumped into this thing that are not even real? There are kids in my country here in the USA who start talking about plastic surgery in their teens, right? What they're going to do as soon as they can. We're doing something wrong, right? Pretty massively. The impact on mental health. The Mental Health Foundation reports that body dissatisfaction is associated with higher levels of depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, contributing to poor mental health outcomes. And again, the statistic is 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 people are going to find themselves impacted viciously in their mental health by this. Wow. Right? So I kind of feel like if we know this is out there, if we know this is what they're doing to everybody, number one, it should make it a little easier, right? It should make it a little bit easier if you realize that the thin ideal, number one, doesn't exist. It's BS. It's photoshopped, it's cropped, it's painted. It doesn't exist. And even if it did, I got news for you. There are a group of people on this planet who aren't going to be, they're not going to like the ideal that you decide for them. There is a lid for every pot. I promise you, I'm telling you the truth. So luckily, there are a group of people out there that do love women who are really thin, because there are thin women out there that need to be loved. And there are people out there that love all the way up in every single size. And you should be content with who you are. The body should be a little bit less important, right? And unfortunately, we've kind of lost sight of that. We really have. And it's because they programmed us. It's not our fault. It really isn't. But I can't tell you how many times a day somebody will say that they find themselves ugly. Someone will cut down themselves because they're comparing to a false ideal, right? One that does not exist. You'll notice I don't bang a lot of drums on the lifeboat about losing weight. Pretty odd, considering that food addiction is the second largest addiction on earth. Yeah, big one. So why don't I beat the drum about that more often? Because here's the deal. Your size is a very personal thing. It really is. And God forbid, I'm going to become part of the problem, right? That I preach about. That can happen. But while we're on that subject, let's keep it real. If your health is in peril because of your size, then we need to work on that, right? I'm not someone that says you need to conform to the ideal, but we want you around for as long as possible, right? This is a channel that was started with the silly idea of helping people live their best lives. So we would like people to get rolling. Kathy, um, I really appreciate your honesty. Kathy says, I'm still fanatical. If I go over 110 pounds, I go on Nutrisystem. And you know something? This to me makes some sense. And I mean that with respect, but think about what you do, right? You're on display at all times. And it's such a statement on our society. Here is a person, if you don't know Kathy, you should stop by and check out her channel if somebody could throw up a link. If this is a unbelievably talented musician. However, um, the fact that people are looking at you doing what you do, playing your instrument, I think it's still, we still get hung up on, oh man, people are looking at me. I have to fit this ideal. Um, Saying that out loud, by the way, is huge. It's a great start of being able to maybe work on fixing that, right? Because in all honesty, oh, hey, squirrel. In all honesty, this can be really unhealthy. You know, beauty fades and personality stays. I like it. I like it. And I'll tell you something. There's an awful lot of truth to it, right? Um, I'm terrified by the fact that this is the world that my daughter lives in, right? Uh, Social media platforms like Facebook or Meta or whatever the hell they're calling it, Instagram, right? Snapchat, all of these places where what do you get there really? Even if it's a friend of yours, they're never gonna put up a picture of them. If the picture of them, right? Have you ever watched? I'm not being disrespectful, but have you ever watched somebody? You take a selfie and they go, "Oh my God, no, we're taking that again," right? Because they do not want. They're afraid of what it's going to look like, right? That's a frightening thing. Hey, squirrel, I think she's missed you, right? There are still somewhat different beauty standards for women in different cultures, and it keeps changing, says DeAudrey Gore. Can't win. No, it always will change, right? Um, Research published in the Journal of Eating Disorders suggests that frequent use of social media platforms where ideals, right, where that whole ideals images are prevalent, is linked to increased body dissatisfaction and disordered eating disorders. This stuff isn't, I mean, we're not talking theory here. The studies out there are saying the more time you spend looking at things like Meta, the more time you spend looking at things like Instagram, the better a chance you have of feeling crappy about how you look and developing an eating disorder. All right. So this is an issue. Yeah. This is a huge issue. And this is not a shocker. The the research backs up all of this. Now, not trying to be disrespectful, but you got to start feeling silly if every single bit of research says what's going on is in your head. Guys don't want the ideal. You hear me? The ideal was not created by us. Trust and believe. They didn't come and ask me. I never got a vote. How thin should women be? How tall should women be? I never got a vote. And I would imagine that my tastes would not necessarily match anyone else, right? There's a I appreciate your honesty. Relatable Reese says I have a huge issue with my body issue, with body issues, but body image. I don't think this is a shock to anybody because you've been pretty open about it on your show. But this is a recurring theme to everyone. The number of people who are happy and completely content in their bodies, that's a pretty slim number, right? It's a much smaller number for women than it is for men. We do not have the same pressures put on us that women do. Zelda. Zelda says, I'm old and I'm really sick of trying to fit the ideal, but my brain is hardwired to care. When do we stop and just enjoy being us? Well, this is the month, right? This is the month that we're going to work on just that. This is the month we're going to work on just that. Jamie Lee Curtis, when she did that "I'm never going to be airbrushed again" thing, let me tell you something from a guy's standpoint, honestly. And I've spoke to so many men on this subject. There was something so hot about the picture that wasn't doctored. There was something so hot about a woman that said, "There's a team of 25 people in there that are going to paint me up to look like I just stepped off of a Disney cartoon, but I'm not going to do it." That's hot. It really is. That's hot. And if more people did it, if more people said, "You know what? I'm done," right? "I'm not going to allow this crap to happen." Dinky says, "My son is only 10 years old and he thinks he is fat." Oh, my Lord. Breaks my heart. I tell him he's perfect and a growing healthy boy. I fear for our children. Well, I'm glad that this is something that you're cognizant of. There are people out there who will add to that, right? Thank God you're you. There are mothers out there right now telling their boys, "You know what? You're fat. If you keep eating like that, you're going to believe it." Horrific, horrific stuff gets done to kids because people just don't know any better. You know what? It's Miss Dragon. Sadly, people don't start realizing no F's given until we're at least 50. We need to work hard on the youth. Um, it's There's something to that. There really is something to that. You're right. I just saw a comment that said confidence is sexy. There's something great about that. There's also something great about the real deal, right? The genuine article. There's something just really cool. Um, wow. Z Dub would have been great to see you. Really would have been great to see you. That's a bummer. That is a bummer. But Admiral, please address beauty and aging. The prettier women are, the worse we are treated by society. Uh, yeah, I think there's something to that. However, I believe, I really do. I believe that this, like everything else, is the bowstring, right? When you pull a bowstring a foot and a half back, it doesn't come back to where it started. Right? It shoots considerably further in the opposite direction. And I think we're starting to see a backlash of people who are kind of pissed off at the whole fake thing. People who just go, "You know what? I'm over it, man." I truthfully and honestly am over it. We're seeing models and actresses who are starting to look a lot more like everybody you see on the street, right? We're starting to see a bit of a paradigm shift. I'll be honest with you. I love that. I love that. Providing, right? Providing, we do keep in mind there is a place you can get to that's unhealthy. And I don't want anybody's life shortened because of a habit. You feel me? If you're using food the way I used heroin, that's a habit. If it's a coping mechanism, it's a habit, and it is something that needs to be worked on. There are almost no pictures of me from age 12 to now. Will go to ends of the earth to not be photographed. Received a big award at work and required to submit a photo, was distraught instead of proud. Wow. Wow. It's a bummer. It really is. But this is the world. This is what we've created. And today, uh, in office buildings all across the United States, people will sit around who probably look remarkably like all of us, but they will talk about what fashion is going to be, and they're going to wrap very, very tall, very, very thin models in expensive fabric. It's a very silly thing that we've created. It is a very silly thing, but it's hurting people badly. It really is. Um, Now, gender disparities. Studies indicate that women are disproportionately affected by body image concerns with social pressure to conform to unrealistic beauty standards, contributing to negative body image and self esteem issues. This isn't a shocker, right? Talked about this earlier. We know that it's so much more difficult for a woman than it is a man, right? It doesn't make sense. But if you look at it, it has to be. It has to be societal. It has to be that society has worked on women a hell of a lot more than they've worked on men. Start with the kids by emphasizing they do not talk down about themselves. I started telling the 8-year-old that when she was age 4. I love it, right? Proactive. Do something that's going to head this stuff off, because this leads to negative health behaviors that honestly will mess up your kids for the rest of their lives. Sadly, that's the truth. Individuals dissatisfied with their bodies are more likely to engage in unhealthy behaviors such as crash dieting, excessive exercise, and substance abuse as coping mechanisms. They also will grasp at straws to try things that can kill them. Those of us of a specific age probably remember they took 2 speeds. One was called ionomin, one was called pondamin. And they took the 2 of them and mixed them. And when they did, they came up with fen-phen. You guys remember fen-phen? Fen-phen was a miracle, right? Miracle. Take the pill, lose weight. Take the pill, lose weight. And by the way, you got a whole hell of a lot of energy, right? Beats the crap out of coffee. It's a light rent amphetamine buzz that you get with your great weight loss. It'll blow your heart out and kill a certain percentage of people that take it. But boy, oh boy, will it help you lose weight. And the world was taking it. And the craziest crap was, you cannot imagine how angry people were when they took it off the market. People who were taking it didn't want to stop taking it, knowing full well it was destroying the most important muscle that they had in the body, right? The one that pumps your blood. Kristen Melinda says, I was recently prescribed, I can't, phentermine, similar, for about a month. It wreaked havoc with my mind. Go figure, right? It will. It absolutely will. Fen-phen was causing massive cardiac problems, and people were really angry about it. Don't take this stuff. I don't care if it's killing me. I'm losing weight. Look, it's a frightening thing. Kag, Q, his mind is perfect. His body is perfect. His speech is badly messed up to the point where he will not allow me to hear it. And I understand that. It doesn't make me happy, but I understand it. He talks to his mother a few times a week, and she says he's progressing, that she can tell every time he's better. I think he's really frustrated. I think he would like to have a speech pathologist work with him for 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, until he gets his speech back the way he had it. That's not going to happen in prison. It's just not. So, absolutely, Deaudre Gore. Please do. You can mention if it's very relevant to this topic, please do. Sure. And mods, you can let that one slide. But that's where Q is. That's where my best friend's. That's his diagnosis, I guess, right now. He is sharp as a friggin' tack. And I think that we probably get much more done now with him listening to me talk and him type, because they assume no one can type, right? They assume that nobody can type. So instead of giving him a 15-minute phone call, we actually get close to a half an hour. And he types faster than he talks. So it's a pretty decent setup. Thank you, Kag. You know something? I'm not at all unhappy with where he's at. I'm sure he is, but I understand where he is. There, if he was on the street, there's a lot more that he could do. right? He'd have access to the internet. He could be researching all kinds of stuff. I would imagine they give him some worksheets and things to take back to his cell and work on. But I think he wants somebody to be there with him and saying, "Now you put your tongue, on your teeth, and really work with him as a speech pathologist." And that's not happening. They probably don't have one on staff, right? I would really doubt that the penitentiary in Indiana has a speech pathologist on staff. So more than likely, they're going to bring someone in from the street, and surely that's not going to be something they do more than once or twice a week. And he's not the kind of cat that's going to be really comfortable sitting around. I'm glad that I could communicate with him too. I think he would go insane if he couldn't communicate. I do. I really think he would go insane. I'm doing cardio watching this boat about eating disorders. Classic. Well, there is something to that, right? Cultural factors, cultural ideals of beauty vary widely, but across societies, there is a pervasive emphasis on thinness and physical perfection, which can lead to body image dissatisfaction and disordered eating patterns. As someone was saying earlier, depending on what part of the world you're in, right? There are different things people find beautiful. But as far as this world, as far as the technologically advanced iPhone world that we live in, right? The world that you carry unlimited images, right? The ability for them to beam into your life unlimited fake images of people who have been airbrushed into your pocket 24/7, 365 days a year. What could possibly go wrong? Right? This is something that is really a reality. People have probably heard of BDD, body dysmorphic disorder. They say that 2.5% of the population has it. That's the Anxiety and Depression Association of America that estimates 2.5% of the population that suffers from body dysmorphic disorder. That's the most obviously severe cases of this. But I believe everybody suffers with this at some level, right? I shouldn't say everybody. The vast majority of women that I meet have been affected by what society has set out intentionally or by accident to do to the women of this country, right? Everybody's affected. You can't not be, right? The comments today are poignant. Someone that says, "I know I shouldn't be concentrating on this, but I can't not," right? And sadly, we live in a society where there aren't enough people that get it, right? I owned women's and men's clothing boutiques for years and became so empathetic to the body images people have about themselves. Some women would never even come out of the dressing rooms. I'm not at all surprised by that, Zelda. Saddened, but not at all surprised by that. I would imagine that you did wonders for these people's lives. It's not even being funny. Small amounts of kindness at a time like that can really do wonders for people, right? And if all of us just took time to realize that everybody's jacked up about how they look because of the fake body images that have been put out. And I have talked about the fact that I knew a model really well and saw that person spread. And it wasn't them. It wasn't them at all. They had changed her so dramatically. And the way she talked about it, yeah, they shaved, a few inches off my hips. Just shaved it off. What the hell does that mean? It's frightening. It's frightening. And I promise you that ideal, cha-ching, right, with the air quotes, whose ideal? It ain't mine. Do me a favor. Raise your hand, right? Raise your hand in the audience. If you've had a man tell you that he's more attracted to women who have a little bit more meat on the bone. For real, raise your hand if you've heard that. I don't know any woman who hasn't heard a man say that, but none of them believe it. It's incredible. You can take this or don't, but from a guy that spent a really serious amount of time around nothing but dudes, right? The magazines that guys would bring in they get traded. Nobody throws out a magazine after a month. There are magazines in there from 1975. I'm not being funny. If it's a magazine that's great, nobody ever throws it out. And these things kind of get passed around. But larger girls in magazines, girls with a little bit of meat on the bone. There were some magazines like FMF, Curves was another one of the magazines. Those puppies were $35 a magazine. Those were the ones that the fellas coveted the most. Aaron, the older and heavier I am, the more invisible I feel. Well, that sucks, right? That sucks. Can you think of anything sadder than someone feeling invisible? I can't. Honestly, I can't. And I've been in some shit situations and places in my life, but I can't think of anything worse than feeling invisible. I'd rather have my ass kicked and have people hate me than feel invisible. Miss Dragon, thank you so much. She says, you all have self-worth and value. I believe in you. I love you, Miss Dragon. I really do. And Miss Dragon's, I say this a lot, but we grew up in the exact same time period, and we grew, we're the same age, we're same graduating class. And so very similar life experiences in the things that we witnessed and the things that we saw. And I think we had it a little bit easier than the ladies of today, right? The girls coming up today have it way harder. Now they can tailor the commercial specifically to the kid, right? And once they know where your hang up is, it's not just going to be ads, it's going to be videos. They are going to tailor content to your kid based on your kid's hang-ups. Now, is it going to make him better or worse? I don't know. I'm not letting anybody else decide that for my kid. Right? That's scary. Isn't it? That's scary. The most advanced AI on the planet, right, is used in that other app. The one that I don't use, right? That platform has the most advanced AI on the planet. And what's its job? To watch the people who are watching it, to learn everything they can about the people who are watching it, and then steer them in whatever direction they want, assuming it's a great direction and it's going to be really good for your kids. It's only the Communist Party of China. I don't think you got a lot to worry about. Right? You're good. I've dated thin women and women with a little extra. Depends on the personality. That's what counts the most for me. I love that. I love that. I have said my entire life that I fall in love right here. Right? That's it. I fall in love right there. No matter how somebody looks, no matter how much attraction there is, and it's animal and all of that, even if you're into it a couple hours a day, the rest of the time you have to talk. You have to hang out. You have to communicate. You have to laugh, right? There has to be something a whole lot bigger than just that, or you're not going to make it. That's my humble opinion, right? We all have our body, and that's just it. I'll tell you something. I was huge. I got really, really, really big. I never hit 300, but I got close. I never felt a ton of pressure by society when I was bigger or smaller. I never felt that. That's not something I've ever dealt with. It's just not. But I didn't lose weight because I wanted to look like a specific ideal or any of that crap. I lost weight because it's a medical thing at this point. And it's very important that I try to stretch this out as long and as far as I can. And that means being a lot thinner than I was. Franklin says, I hit 485. I was huge. That's big, my brother. That is big. Wow. Pajama Pixie. I am so sorry. Pajama Pixie says, my husband My ex-husband, thank God, once told me that I was not attractive to him when I gained a little weight, which I had been because of thyroid cancer. Good Lord, he sounds like a gent. He said it while trying to seduce me after losing it. He failed. Well, I should think so, right? And the nozzle of the year award goes to, right? That's horrific. I hear stuff like this, and you go, you know, there are guys that literally make you embarrassed to be a dude. And this coming from a guy that went to prison for robbing banks, right? For real. But there are a lot of guys out there that can make you feel really embarrassed that you're a dude. You don't take that for real from anybody. If there's a guy and he's making you feel bad about the way that you look, replace him. There is someone out there who will love you how you are and will be so damn happy to have you. There's no reason. For real. Don't let somebody make you feel bad about who you are. That's not what love is, right? At all. It's the exact opposite. It is the exact opposite. Physical attractiveness pales in comparison to beauty of the soul. I have done shows on this often, and there is a symmetrical face, right? They've studied this, the gap between eyes, the distance from the nose to the chin. There are things that they know that people who sit and look at pictures and say, this is good looking, that's not good looking, whatever. Symmetry helps a lot, right? But there's a difference between attractive and beautiful, because I have had the misfortune of having relationships with some of the most attractive people you've ever met who were ugly as sin. And that's real. It is absolutely real. And so is the other side of that coin. There are people who choose to be beautiful because attractive is just a lottery thing. But there are people that get up every day and make the choice to be a beautiful person. There are people that get up every day and say, I'm going to put ripples out into the world, and those ripples are going to be beautiful. I'm going to leave the earth a better place than I found it. Today, tomorrow, the next day. Everything I do, I'm going to do with the goal of spreading kind, not spreading hate. Feel me? That's being beautiful. And it doesn't make a crap bit of difference what you were born with, whether you're symmetrical, whether you got a really good sized nose, whether you got eye ridges, right, that will make you look Cro-Magnon, whether your pupil, whatever Quibble says, my pupils are very, very close together, apparently. Kind of mouse-like, I think. Here's the deal. I'm pretty happy being me. I wasn't. For 46 years, I was miserable being me. Nothing changed. I look exactly the same, right? I didn't change a shit bit about how I look. I changed who I was. And I'm not trying to brag, but I think I became a beautiful person, right? I think that's a choice I make every damn day when I get up. Is to go and try to be beautiful in this world. Jennifer says, remember, no one is perfect. If they look like it, they paid for it. Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, isn't there? Oh my God. Valerie, you know what's awful? Convicts to consciousness. Convicts to consciousness. Convicts to consciousness. Oh, we got a douche. I lied to you, did I, huh? I would love to know who you are because you're a douche, but that ain't a real account. Do me a favor, mods. Don't get rid of that person just yet. I'd like to see what loser we got here. Just for grins. Here's the deal. If you allow society to tell you what beauty is, then you're going to allow society to make you feel one way or another. You follow me? You're gonna come up with you're gonna come against one of the ugliest societies you will ever come up against. And it's not even something that they can have an active role in eliminating. This is going to pump crap into you and into your house 24/7. It's going to put it into your kids, every aspect of your life, right? You allow this crap in right here. Now, the other one, how frightening is it? Seriously, to realize that the biggest supercomputer on earth is just trying to see what it can manipulate your kids with. You would think maybe military, right? Maybe what is the biggest supercomputer out there? Well, the biggest supercomputer out there is designed to make your kids feel crappy about who they are. For real. If you go over on that platform and you start looking into things like body image issues, there are more sites for that than anything else out there. Think I'm playing? Go look. Right? Go look. I think what you're going to find is fascinating. Now, I wouldn't let that crap into my house. That's by way of full disclosure, right? I would do everything within my power to make sure that I don't allow this one in there, right? Because there is no telling, there is no telling what you're opening yourself up for. You follow me? Now, if anybody, and I mean anybody, who's listening to me feels as if they dodged this bullet, right? My guess is that you're probably over the age of 65. You know what, Jennifer Folsom? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's go over this. This is important because this popped up on the other channel the and this is the crim thing. The crim thing over on the Related Boat. There's been a lot of talk about the crim thing. Look, I was a criminal and I went to prison for it. This is a huge part of my life. Not something that I run and hide from. It is very much a part of who I am. I don't have a problem with that. What people talked about when we were talking about the ex-con thing, what we said is it's a little frustrating when all people think is we need a convict, call Tommy, or we need we want to hear about prison. I'm proud of the fact that at 46 I became a different human being, and if that can't be highlighted, then I probably don't want to have anything to do with those people. You feel me? Those are people I just eliminate in my life. If they can't see that this is who I've become, I eliminate them. However, I call Quibble Anna Nicole, which is probably not the nicest of nicknames, right? We kind of go back and forth with each other, ribbing each other, lighthearted ribbing each other. But that's not what's happening with the crim. What she has done is she has taken the convict and broken the convict into two parts, one of which she refers to as crim. And that is basically there's a word, if there are any Russians listening, the Russians have a word called bizek. And it literally means I live like a convict. And it means that if you give somebody a word, you're going to come through on it, and all of those kind of a thing, right? Those little things where, yeah, you're not going to let the little guy get tromped on. You're probably going to get in there and do something about it, right? Don't let this thing bother you. But I do want to give the person that that left the comment last night, you know who you are. They also wanted to give a little crap to Quibble about her language. I wish you could have seen me 1 year out of my addiction. I wish you could have seen me when I was 47, right? My language was pretty foul. I've been complimented because my language is good and I try to act like a gentleman. I went out of my way to change that because every word I said was an F bomb. And it took 7 or 8 years of really trying hard to get to the point where I could eliminate cursing from my vocabulary. I still slip. My friend Reese is a year and a half out of a 38.5 year sentence. Maybe you could throw her a little grace, right? We just happen to be able to film her now. Right? Nobody saw me a year out, but I promise you my language was colorful, right? It was colorful. Maybe a little grace because it goes an awful long way, right? I think that Anna Nicole will probably back off on cursing, but if you don't know Scientologists, every Scientologist drops F bombs like nothing else. It's just one of those things that people don't care about in that particular culture, right? In that cult. So if you were raised with that word being no different than any other, right? Get over it. Honest to God, get over it. Sadly, you know what I really think it is? I think it's people who are jealous and they take shots any way they can. See, there's a lot of cattiness that goes on, sadly. It really does. Smooth trim. Thank you. Um, you know what, Kathy? There's always one. There's always one. And I've talked about this many times. Those who can create. They come on, they pick a topic, they talk about things that people are interested in. Then people show up and they watch. Um, that's not what trolls do. Creating is hard, right? Creating takes talent, it takes skill. So what trolls do is they comment on people who create and they try to piss off enough people in the audience that they'll go over and look at whatever that person's doing. And that's their business model. Knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. I'm going to keep doing what I do. Right? I'm going to keep doing what I do. And yeah, Trinity says creating is hard. And Trinity does a great job at it. Trinity actually has skill and can edit and do, cool things, put music to it, all kinds of things that I can't, But here's the good news, man. If you ain't getting trolled, it's because you suck. It's because you don't have an audience that cares about you. Trolls only go after audiences that really care about their people. The thought process is, if I call Tommy a scumbag, they're going to run over to see why I called him a scumbag, right? To defend him. You're still giving them a view, right? But that's their business model. Yeah, bye you, babe. I like your attitude. C2C, we would welcome and accept you here, but be kind. Yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody. I mean, really, for the most part, I shouldn't say that. I have a real short tolerance for people when they're losers, when they're trying to disrupt. I don't have a big tolerance for that. It's just one of those things, people. And while we're on that subject, as I said, give my partner a little grace. We started the Related Boat. Anybody remember why? Huh? Anybody remember why I started the Related Boat? Because people over here didn't want to see Reese. And over on Reese's channel, they didn't want to see me. Fair enough. So we spun out the Related Boat so that those of you who don't like me didn't have to show up. And those who did not like Reese didn't have to show up. But those who liked us together could just show up there. The funny thing is, those of you who don't like us are showing up there too. And the way we know that is we have 2,600 subscribers, but we get 3,000 some odd views, right? So we get a lot of people who don't hit subscribe, but they go over and watch. It's pretty funny. And then they go over and they watch and they complain, which is a pisser. Which is a pisser, because we created a forum so you wouldn't have to watch. Yeah. I think Reese is here. I thought I saw her. Yeah, it's not a really crazy phenomenon, people, right? You couldn't reach out and harass Fonzie. Right? Old television is just really different. I find it fascinating that right now you're watching the largest television channel on earth, right? The big red button is just a huge, massive television channel. Wrap it up any way you want. It's just that we put up the content, but it's just the biggest. Y'all got me through cardio and core. Wow. Huh? Nice. Crew is my best workout, buds. Driving and listening. Nice. Tommy, make Reese a mod so she stands out and we know it's really her and not a fake account. Well, that's a good idea. And I will work on that. I cannot make her a mod from where I am. But if Reese is here, she can throw up a comment right now, which would make it easier for me to do that, and I can make her a mod. But I'll have to do it on a different device. This is what happens when you use a streaming service, right? Oh, by the way, my kid is using a different streaming service, and he sends me an invite, and I'm looking at the thing going, what the hell is this? I'm confused. I hate new technology. I'm just now figuring out this one, right? I don't have this one down yet. Thank you, Mile High Hokey. Appreciate you. Yes, she was there earlier, to be sure. Bacon bits. I think you're probably right. I'll get it worked out in the long run. So today, people, I'm going to be putting up some content. Probably the Related Boat. I'm going to be throwing something up there later today. Quibble and I will be doing something. Got some stuff I got to do here around the homestead, but I will be back tomorrow at 9 a.m. continuing my mental health month. Tell you, this is our Super Bowl. I'm not kidding. This is the month that we talk about things that matter. Honestly, go commit random acts of kindness. I like it. Oh, wait a second. Been lurking and cleaning? You can't do both. Hold on a second. Let's see. What have I got to do here? So cancel. Oh, I know what the problem is. I'm not very bright. That's the problem. I'm using the wrong device. All right, bear with me, people. This will all be over in a moment. This won't take long. Yeah, I know you've been missing all of my cool singing and my green acres. You notice I haven't dropped one green acres because I kind of felt guilty. There we go. And let's see, where's Quibble? There she is. Now let's see if that worked. So what color is Quibble now? I think I might have just pulled that off. Quibble, throw up a comment and let's see if you're colored. Are you colorful? Did you turn? And of course, yeah. So Quibble apparently disappeared. I do think I made her a mod. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think I made her a mod. So we will see shortly. We will find out. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Tomorrow I'm going to be back at 9 o'clock. We're going to keep this month going for the entire month. If you're not going and getting the hey, look at that. If you are not going over and getting the journal prompts from Spanx Calhoun for this entire month, shame on you. I'm dead serious. Shame on you. Right? You complain that it's hard to journal, you can't get started. Over there right now is your night journal assignment and your morning journal assignment. All you got to do is start. You do this for the entire month, your life will change. Bank on it. Bank on it. You should have seen what I was before I started. For real. Are you going to do a crime shows? Gregor Trial is on point for today. Am I going to do a? Yeah, I probably will. I don't know that I'm going to get to it today. Dennis from Boston. The night show is No, it's at 8. 8 o'clock your time, Dennis. 8 o'clock your time. It's 5 o'clock California, 8 o'clock on the they reverted it, Calhoun reverted it back to the old one. Yeah. Same time tomorrow that it was today, Shannon. So it's going to be 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So I think that is noon on the East Coast, right? Yeah. Yeah, Jennifer Folsom, you absolutely could do that. I'm probably going to do a whole show on Brian. That's jacked up. That's a rabbit hole. Holy hell. But yeah, I do need to do a show on that. You know what, Pajama Pixie, you are very kind. Pajama Pixie says, by the way, thank you for the support. Sorry. Love you, Tommy. Gonna go walk now. You're a beautiful human being, a wonderful example that we can make changes for the better. Thank you so much, Pajama Pixie. That's so kind. Um, it's very honestly, I mean that. And you've really been a very kind supporter from the very beginning. Jennifer, it definitely needs its own show to be sure. Maud is the ultimate celebrity status. There you go. Well, there you go. Thank you, Dennis from Boston. I really appreciate you. I want to thank all of you for supporting the boat. It's a lot of fun to come on here. It's a lot of fun to come back and just fart around. It really is. It's a lot of fun to come back on here and do subjects that I'm passionate about. Right? Yeah, I heard you were sick, Bacon, but you got to get up. Zen Wen, thank you so much for the super sticker. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you. It's an awful lot of fun to sit back in the chair. Awakened by the Looking Glass says, why would a DA stop contact with a murder victim's family during a trial and schedule a mental health evaluation? There is no logical reason for that I could think of. To be really honest with you, there's not one that I could think of. I'm sorry, but there isn't. I mean, no, I can't think of one. I really can't, unless the DA thinks the family's compromised, or they think that talking to them would put the family in danger. Those are the only two things I could think of. They either don't trust the family, or they're trying to protect the family. There's no other. There couldn't be any other reason, right? Oh, without telling the family? No, that's the most jacked up thing I've ever heard. Loved you three with STS. Speaking of language, yeah. Who cares about it? You're being honest, period. Thank you. You know what? The language thing for me, I don't care what you do with your language. I really don't. The reason that I'm a stickler about it here is because I don't want somebody to wander on the lifeboat who is struggling to try to get off dope and see the first thing or hear the first thing be an F-bomb and go, this isn't from me. Right? I would hate for language to run off somebody that needs help. And that's kind of what we do here. It's not really about making videos. It's about helping people. So that's kind of why I'm a stickler with the language thing. But I don't care what Larry does. You know, Larry's Larry. He's very, very colorful. Mile High Hokey, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Yeah, I really appreciate that. That's the story with Larry. He's a lot of fun. Larry is and he's an interesting cat. If you can get by the language and stuff, Larry's had an interesting existence, and you know, he's rallied a pretty serious comeback as well. You know, Bacon Bit says, "Oh man, missing Tommy on STS is like it's like missing when you have the winning lottery numbers." Nice, I like that. I think that Joel would love that too. If you've never gone over to Surviving the Survivor, they have a feel over there that's very lifeboaty. They really do. They have a very family feel over there. The chief of everything, that's Joel's wife, COE. She's fantastic. His mom, Carm, is fantastic. It's just a very cool family kind of a group, and the chats tend to go that way. Why, thank you, Bayou Babe. Bayou Babe says, you're my life coach, Tommy. It's funny. Do you know how many people emailed me after that show and asked me if I did life coaching? I got a lot of emails about that after that show. Yeah, so it was fun, wasn't it? It's a good time. You know, it's a good time going on there. It really is. Why doesn't YouTube include the comments on replay? They do. There's a trick to it. Um, Normally, what you do is you click on where the messages are, and then you slide to one side, and that takes you to the replay. If by some chance it does not do that, come back. And 24 hours after the video, it always is there. Normally, it's there instantly, but if it's not, it will always be up. The chat will always be there 24 hours after the original live feed. You just have to move the chat box from regular comment to um, the previous live. That's what you got to do there. It's a bit confusing. Ah, nice. Dennis says, great wedding. Thanks for remembering. I got a round of applause for dancing with my daughter, pulled off some smooth moves, and I was so nervous about it for nothing. Well, that's awesome. Congratulations, Dennis. I remember you talking about it, but that's awesome. I'm glad to hear it was a great wedding. And I read a comment that that you had made that there's a crash. When you build up for something like that, you know what I mean. You build up and you wait and you wait and you wait, and then it's over. And it's like there's almost like a postpartum, after something like that, especially when you've been building up and working up to it. Yeah, but that is lovely. I think that's awesome. Mile High Hokey. I agree. That's lovely. YouTube is trying to suppress my anti-BG movement in the chat. Actually, that's been me. That's been me working specifically with Barry Gibb. The two of us have been putting together a little something to try to keep you from destroying the legacy of one of the great. I was going to say rock bands, but you just can't call them a rock band. I don't know what they did. Susie Q, congratulations. You passed the background check and new job on Monday. You know what? That's fantastic. We'll miss you in the mornings, but how cool is that? We're glad that you got through that, and we're glad that you're working. It's not everybody is. All right, people. I have now hit the time of the day. Or I have to go and take care of actual drive around and do things and act like an adult. Eesh, hate that.